The valley of Erindor Plains glowed in the pale light of dawn, the first rays of twin suns stretching across golden grasses that swayed like liquid under the gentle wind. For generations, the plains had been a crossing ground for traders, explorers, and travelers, human and alien alike, but lately, the land had become quieter. Trade had slowed. Borders had shifted. And the few remaining humans who stayed had learned to live modestly, with nothing to spare. Among them was Caden Ryle, a man in his early 30s who had once been a merchant of considerable reputation. Now, he lived on the outskirts of the last human settlement, tending to his lone horse, Bran, and a small herd of crops that barely fed him through the seasons. Bran was more than a companion, he was family, a living link to the days when Caden had more to give. Bran's coat gleamed chestnut in the morning light, and his eyes, intelligent and steady, often reflected the quiet dignity of the plains themselves. On this particular morning, as Caden tended the horse, a sound echoed through the hills, a shriek, abrupt and desperate, cutting through the early morning stillness. He stiffened, hand on Bran's reins. The sound repeated, closer now, raw and human-like, yet alien in its tone. Caden's heart thumped. The plains were dangerous. Wild predators, scavenging raiders, and occasional territorial aliens could appear at any moment. Yet, instinct pushed him forward, urging him to investigate. Near a cluster of jagged rocks, Caden found her. She was crouched low, her small frame trembling. Her skin shimmered with a faint iridescent pattern, pale violet fading into blue along her arms. Two delicate horns curved back from her temples, small but elegant, and her large eyes, silver with flecks of gold, were wide with panic. One leg was bent at an unnatural angle beneath her, and a long, jagged scratch ran across her shoulder, bleeding faintly. The alien girl's voice cracked as she cried, "Please, help me." Caden's chest tightened. Instinct told him to act before danger approached. Bran shifted uneasily beside him, sensing the girl's distress. Without hesitation, Caden dismounted and moved closer, careful not to frighten her further. "You're hurt," he said softly. "Can you stand?" The girl shook her head. I can't." Her eyes darted toward the ridge above, then back to him. "They're coming." Caden followed her gaze and caught movement, shadows flitting across the cliffs, shapes large and lean. Alien hunters. Or worse. He looked at Bran, then at the girl, and made a decision. Bran was strong, fast, and brave. He would give her a chance to escape. "Climb on," Caden said firmly, lowering Bran's saddle to the ground. The girl hesitated, fear and confusion painting her face. "But, your horse." "It's okay. We need to move," Caden replied. "Now." With trembling hands, the girl climbed onto Bran's back. Caden helped steady her, then swung himself up. Bran shifted uneasily beneath them, sensing the urgency. Caden whispered reassurances as the horse bounded across the plains, weaving between rocks and ridges with surprising speed. The alien hunters appeared at the ridge, shouting guttural commands, but Bran's speed carried them out of immediate danger. They reached a secluded grove where the grasses rose high, concealing their path. Caden dismounted, brushing Bran's manet. The girl's breathing was ragged. I have nowhere to go," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the wind. Caden swallowed. He had little to give, less than he had had before. But he couldn't leave her here. Not alone. He made the decision that would change everything. "I'm giving you Bran," he said. The words were heavier than the morning sun. My only horse. "But you need him more than I do." The girl's eyes widened, disbelief and hope battling within her gaze. "You're a horse?" "Yes," Caden said. "He'll carry you. Keep you safe. I can manage on foot." Tears welled in her eyes. I can't accept this." "You have no choice," he replied gently. Take him. Live. I'll make sure you're not followed. For a long moment, she just stared at him, the reality of his gift sinking in. Then she nodded slowly, understanding the gravity of the sacrifice. Bran nuzzled her hand, as if sensing the bond being formed. I'll remember this, she whispered. You better, Caden said with a small, ironic smile. She swung into the saddle, and Bran's hooves began to beat softly against the earth. As the twin suns crested the horizon, painting the plains in gold and rose, the girl rode toward freedom. Caden watched, a pang of emptiness in his chest. Bran, his companion of years, now belonged to another. Yet he knew it was right. Life demanded choices, and he had made one. And then he heard it. A whisper of movement in the grasses. Not the hunters, they were far behind. Something larger. He looked up, and in the distance, figures appeared. 3 of them. They moved silently, almost ethereally, across the plains. Their forms were similar to the girl's but taller, stronger, and radiating a quiet authority. Silver eyes glimmered as they surveyed the valley, and their skin shimmered in patterns that mirrored hers. Her sisters. They did not rush forward, nor did they shout. They simply appeared, encircling the girl and Bran with an almost ritualistic stillness. Their eyes met Caden's, and for a moment, he felt their presence, not hostile, but watchful, assessing his intentions. The girl turned in the saddle, looking back at him. They're my sisters, she whispered. Caden nodded slowly, unsure what to say. Words felt inadequate. One of the sisters stepped forward, her gaze softening. Though alien in form, her expression was unmistakably familiar, maternal, protective, and discerning. She spoke in a melodic tone, one Caden did not understand fully, but the meaning was clear. A gesture of gratitude. Respect. Acknowledgement of his gift. Caden felt a weight lift from his chest. He had given Bran to protect her, to give her a chance to survive, and they had understood. The sisters moved closer to the girl, enveloping her in their presence. They spoke quietly among themselves, then turned to Caden in unison. One nodded slightly, a gesture he instinctively recognized, a silent thank you. Caden watched as the sisters mounted their own alien steeds, creatures he had never seen before, fast and lithe, their forms reflecting light like liquid metal. Together, they began to lead the girl away, moving with a grace and speed that made the plains blur beneath them. Bran whinnied softly, as if acknowledging that he was where he was meant to be. Caden remained standing in the grove long after they had disappeared beyond the horizon. The suns rose higher, spilling warmth across the valley, but he felt no bitterness. Sacrifice had a strange way of rewarding those who understood its necessity. Bran was gone, but alive. The girl was alive. And for the first time in months, Caden felt a rare sense of peace. Over the following cycles, stories of the human who gave his last horse to an alien girl spread quietly among traders and travelers. Some dismissed it as a tall tale. Others, especially those who had encountered the sisters and the girl, confirmed it with solemn nods. The story became one of whispered legend, a human who acted without thought of reward, whose kindness bridged worlds and earned the respect of an alien clan. Caden continued to live on the plains, tending to his remaining crops, repairing the few tools and buildings he could maintain. But he felt the valley differently now. Every sunrise reminded him of that moment, the sacrifice, the gift, the silent arrival of the sisters. And sometimes, when the wind shifted just right, he could hear distant hoofbeats on the plains. Bran leading, the girl following, and the sisters at her side. A quiet echo of gratitude, and a reminder that compassion, no matter how small the act, could resonate far beyond expectation. By giving what he had, Caden had shaped more than one life. He had shaped an entire story of trust, courage, and the fragile yet enduring bond between beings of different worlds. And as the suns climbed higher, painting the valley gold, he understood some gifts were never truly lost. They traveled, in their own way, carried forward on hooves, wings, and hearts that remembered. The plains were silent once more, but they felt alive. And somewhere, beyond the horizon, a girl and her sisters rode safely, protected by the legacy of a man who had nothing left to give and gave it anyway.